Hey everybody. Hey, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. All right, so I'm down here on the new job. We're gonna call this the Jackson Tract. It's in Hillsboro, Tennessee, and I spent a couple days. Well, let's see, came down and marked timber. Of course, that's the first step. You know, you got to talk to the landowners. You got to look at the job, you know, and find out if there's enough timber there worth cutting, all that good jazz. So I came down and marked timber, met with the landowners, did all that good jazz. And as you can see, like over here in the background, I don't know if y'all can see it, but that tree over there has got a blue ring around it. It's marked to take. And in this particular job, it was growed up in here pretty good. Right here in this corner, and let me turn around and show y'all to make a little bit more sense. Should have showed y'all this first. Right over there where my car's at, right on the other side of my car is a little one-way road. And that's the road that comes by this property. It's a county road, you know, public road. And there's houses up and down this road, you know, and it's just a one-lane road. So I didn't have anywhere to park. You know, it's not like we're decking out in a field like we normally do. You know, here we had to come in and do a little bit of prep work with the skid steer. And as y'all can see back over there, you know, I've cleared some of this brush right up here at this gate. This fella that owns this property has actually got goats in here. They're back up toward his house, and his house is back through yonder, and there's actually a field on the other side of it. Would have been better if we could have decked in that field, but he didn't have access to it. And here's this old gate here down here in the corner that's right here beside the highway. I don't know, maybe sun's reflecting pretty bad, but maybe I can get y'all over here where you can see. Okay, see that little one lane road? All right, so that's where we're gonna be coming in with the log truck. But then also I needed a place to park my truck and trailer whenever we're cutting the timber. Now they own this property right here on the other side of the fence. So I went in and cleared out a little spot right here beside the road, just to where we can back the horse trailer in and have room to park equipment and whatnot. So today, I've got to do a little bit more skid steer work. I've got to put in some roads. It's god awful wet. We had a storm last night. It rained a bunch. We've been getting a lot of rain lately. It's been hard to get anything done. So what I'm gonna try to do is get a road put in with a skid steer, and I'll try to put a map up here on the screen where y'all can kind of get a lay of the land, so to speak, see what the land looks like. But there's a fence all the way around it. Like I said, he's got goats in here. It's not a very big tract of timber. It's only like 3 acres, and there's not a lot of timber on it. This is just gonna be one of them jobs we got to get in, get out type situations. But my plan is to take a skid steer and put a trail right down diagonally from this corner all the way over there to the other corner, across the track. We want one main skid road down the middle of the tract of timber, you know, from where we got to start to where we got to finish right here on the deck. And then what I'm going to also do, once we make that main road, then I'm going to make some little fingerlings, what I call fingerling roads, coming off of it, going to the other corners. So that way we got a main trail, and then we got a couple secondary trails to where when we start skidding the timber, we can come out of the woods, get on those secondary trails, follow it out to the main trail, and then right out to the deck, if that makes any sense. All right, y'all, now I've just been kind of making me a road down through here. We're fixing to come out into this pasture on the diagonal corner of the tract of timber. And then I'm going to turn right around and go back to the deck and just kind of show you, you know, how I got this road laid out. The skid steer is very handy, you know, tool for this job. To be able to get us a good road to where we can come in and out, you know, with logs, log wagon, log cart, whatnot. It just makes it so much easier getting in and out. And as this track progresses, you'll get to see how nice this road is. All right, we're coming back up on the deck now. You can see my car straight out ahead of us there. So I just kind of wanted to keep you oriented as to where we're at. All right, y'all. We got this road put in. We've basically got a plus sign in this tract of timber right in the middle. You know, crossroads right in the middle of the track. We got one road going diagonal across it going this way, and then we got this road coming diagonal across it this way. Again, it's not a big tract of timber, it's just 3 acres. But you got to have good roads. And as you can see over behind me, you know, it goes on out into the field. And then back over, let's see, right back over in there is where the Jacksons live. And out in the field, you know, they've got goats and whatnot, so pretty cool deal. But I think what we're gonna do, the way we're gonna cut this timber, you always wanna start at the back of a tract of timber, working your way back toward the deck. So that way you ain't working through your tops and whatnot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start over here right on the edge of this field in this tract of timber going down this way. And we'll go all the way back out to the road. The road's out yonder and it runs, you know, lengthwise with the timber, parallel to the timber, I guess you could say. But we're gonna start right here on this field, lay some trees down, and get them ready for the mules. Now, y'all, a lot of this timber right here on the edge of this pasture is dying. This is a red oak here that I'm about to cut, and all of the oak on this job is dying. I don't know if it's got some kind of disease like a blight or something going on, but a lot of timber around the edge of this field is dying, and it makes it a little more challenging to cut because it's already dry. It's harder on the chain and whatnot. And this particular chain that I've got on the saw right now is one of my chains that I use kind of in dirtier wood, whatnot, semi-chisel. It's cutting decent, but it ain't cutting the best. And you'll see when I work my way around to the other side of the tree, it's got a bad place in it. So you'll see why I chose it. But anyway, so I just kind of want to give you an idea of why I might be cutting just a little bit slower than I normally do. Now, y'all, my landowner's goats had to come down and check out my job and what I was doing here. They found them some tasty leaves on these trees I'm a-cutting, and kind of had to wait for him to get them out of the way because we definitely don't want to harm any, innocent bystanders. Falling trees on top of them, if that makes any sense. Now, y'all, there's been a lot of loggers killed over the years from these dead trees like this. Deadfall limbs can come out on top of them and fall down on top of you and kill you. You got to be extremely careful cutting trees like this, and you got to be, keep the wedges to a minimum as far as beating wedges in and out. You don't want to do a whole lot of that, shaking a tree and whatnot. And if you got to push it with a machine, you need to be careful with that too, because you can, break a top out on top of you. It's just they're pretty dangerous, so you got to be careful. Alright, y'all, the first day's over with. We've got a good bit of timber cut. I've got some logs stacked here, and over on the other log road that we've got made going to the other corner, we got another stack about the same size. And I'll turn around here and let y'all see the trees that we felled. I got some of them on camera. I don't know how it all worked out just yet. But the ones, we started right here where I'm standing, which is in the corner of this field. And then we just made a line back out to the road. And there's a couple right inside the woods that I cut that was close to the edge. And I could get all the logs up easy enough with a skid steer. And I'm sure y'all can hear it running, sitting over there. That air conditioner, I got it fixed the other day, man, and I'm gonna tell you, it saved my life today, especially being out here in the middle of this field bucking these logs up. I'd buck several trees up, get in the skid steer, stack some logs, get some water, then come back out, buck some more logs, and repeat. That skid steer really helped out today as far as keeping me working. I hadn't been heavy cutting timber the last little while. We've had other things going, getting a new log truck. And by the way, I'll give y'all an update on him soon. Maybe we'll go over to the shop and we'll check on the truck. But anyway, look, thank y'all for hanging out the first day. Tomorrow I'm gonna be back with May and June. This is gonna be pretty much their job. It's flat ground, it's small timber. It's a small job, so it'll be good for them to get broke in on, and we're gonna break them in on the log wagon, trucking these logs out to the deck out there. We wanna get through with this as quick as we can. The timber's not the best in the world. It's not cutting out too good, so we wanna try to get through it with the least amount of pain as possible. So, you know, for them, there's some big logs in there that they can't pull, but they can roll them on the log wagon. So we're gonna get by and do what we can, get them broke in. But look, thank y'all for hanging out, being here. I really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that like button for us. That'll really help us out down the road. And if you like what we're doing here on the channel, subscribe. Be glad to have you and welcome. As always, y'all, I'm gonna put my email up here on the screen. If any of you need me, holler at me. Be glad to talk to you. And as always, I'm gonna be praying for you, each and every one of you. If you're watching this video, I'm praying for you, I promise. Y'all take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.